Hey! Welcome back to my channel for our first video of 2025. I'm really excited for this year. This will be my first full year on YouTube, so that's very exciting. And we're hopefully gonna have a great year of reading. Chloe, you want out? Max, you want out too? So today I thought we could talk about my books that I want to read in 2025. And my yearly goal is going to be 52 books. So there are a lot of books that I want to read in this year. I ended up reading 49 books last year, so I think that I can do that. But because of that, there are so many books that I need to read. And I thought it would be fun to think of 25 books that I want to read in 2025. So with that in mind, I created 5 categories for books that I want to read in 2025, and I put 5 books in each. The first category of books that I have is sequels, and these are books that I don't want to put off any longer. Some of them I'm really excited about, and others I'm like, okay, you should get on that before you forget what happened in the first book. The first book that I'm really excited about, but also a little bit intimidated by, is The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. And this one is a high fantasy book. I read the 5th season in 2024 and I thought it was really good. It was a little bit confusing for me at times. I definitely had to check in with myself to make sure I kept the story straight, but it's super compelling and I'm excited to see where it goes. So I'm very excited about it, but I think I want to work my way up by reading some more lower category fantasies that are a little bit easier to get into, and then trying to get back into that world. Along the same line is The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. I read The Fellowship of the Rings in 2022, I think. Yeah, I think that's how long ago it's been. But I really want to get back into it. I think my goal for that is I'm going to read the spark notes of it and then use that as I'm going through the book, because I want to read that series, but it's just a little intimidating for me. Next, I have King of Greed by Anna Huang. This is, I think, the 3rd book in the Kings of Sin series, and I read the first 2 last year and really liked it. I think they're a really fun romance, interconnected but standalone series. A lot of fun, so I want to read that one. Then When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This one is the first book in the When in Rome series, but I started with Practice Makes Perfect, so I want to read the first one. Lastly on my sequels list is The Man Who Died Twice, which is the 2nd book in the Thursday Murder Club series. I read that one for a book club and thought it was so much fun, and I would love to continue with that series. The next category of books that I have is buzzy books, so just a bunch of books that people have been talking about all over but I've never picked up. And the first 2 that I have are kind of categories. Clover, what are you doing? So first, I really want to read something by Abby Jimenez because so many people have been reading about her writing and her stories, and I never picked up anything by her, so I want to check that out. And secondly, romantasy. Clover! The second category is romantasy. I have wanted to get back into fantasy for a bit, and then I love romance, and so many people just talk about different romantasy books. So I have a couple that I want to read. One is Throne of the Fallen and Dance of Thieves. And then there are a bunch on Kindle Unlimited that I want to check out too. I've been talking about reading Phantasma forever, but I really do want to check that out. Next, I have A Little Life. Now this one I am so conflicted by because I don't want to read just a really sad book, but at the same time, everyone raves about this book. So maybe I'll give it a chance, but I do want to check it out. I want to see what the hype is about. And lastly in this category is Beach Read by Emily Henry. I want to read everything by her, but I think this is kind of her most popular, and I am very excited to check it out. My next category of books are just all about expanding my horizons with reading. So I picked a couple books that are in different genres, namely genres I don't usually read. So first I have Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is for sci-fi. I think it's sci-fi or fantasy. It's something like that. It's just a book that I know is in a different genre that I normally read. Despite that, I've heard a lot of good things about it on BookTube. So I think that it's a good one to try to get back into reading fantasy / sci-fi. Another genre that I don't read a lot of, but I read a bit of last year and was like, wow, I should do this more often, was historical fiction. So I also picked up The Frozen River, and I'm excited to read that. Another category of books that I never read or very rarely read is literary fiction. So I own a lot of books that like are literary fiction that I want to jump into. So I'm excited to get to those. Another one that I don't read that often is nonfiction, and in particular, I want to read more like feminist nonfiction. So there's one called entitled How Male Privilege Hurts Women, and I've had that on my radar for a little bit, so I want to pick that up. And lastly, I don't read a lot of high fantasy, as I've mentioned, so I would love to try to get into Brandon Sanderson. I think that this would be a fun year to jump into his entire world of his entire universe of books. The next category are books that have been on my shelf, so like I call them my TBR veterans, and these are books that have been on my shelf for a long time. I need to let my cat in. Honey. Silly girl. Cats don't go into bookshelves. So I did kind of double up for this category. So two of my TBR veterans that I have that I want to read in 2025 are Throne of the Fallen and Dance of Thieves. But some other ones that I really want to get to are Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, and Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Now, my last category is upcoming releases. So these are just things that we get to look forward to throughout the year. So the first one I have is Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. This one is the third book in the When in Rome series, and I figured if I'm going back to read the first one, I gotta be prepared for the third one. So, might as well read the third. Is that bad? You want in here? Next, I have two sequels to books that I really, 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 really want. So the first one is the Haymitch book, which is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, and I cannot wait for that book to come out because I loved Haymitch's story. So I cannot wait. I can't wait for that one. And then also All Hail Chaos by Sarah Rees Brennan. This is the sequel to the Long Live Evil book, and that one ended on just like a huge cliffhanger, so I'm very excited to get that book. And next, I didn't know this, but Taylor Jenkins Reid is coming out with another book called Atmosphere. I don't really know anything about it. I just saw that she was coming out with a book this year. Guys, I don't really know anything about it. I just saw that she was coming out with a book this year and put it on this list. And lastly is one that I didn't really know anything about, but it's called Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. And I was reading into it and I thought it sounded really cool. And then I read that it takes place in St. Augustine. And that is where I was born. So I'm really excited for that. These are 25 books that I want to read in 2025. So I'm really excited. I think this will be a good reading year. I'm really excited to share everything that I'm doing book-wise on here, this channel. So stay tuned and thank you so much for watching.